Go ahead.
I would like to say the armory map might need some changes because I've seen some hunters stay from the pipeline, away from the relay, and they can basically snipe you from the other side of the map.
Yep. Okay, let's do weather control, and good luck. Okay, so after this, we'll swap out the guards. To answer your question, DC Trojan, I do not currently play competitively. I still kind of follow the scene from time to time. But the biggest thing is that there is a bit of drama, and I hate drama. I like the competition, but I don't really play competition anymore.
In some aspects.
That being the case, I do not play on Xbox. I do own Evolve for the PlayStation 4 and the PC. I've been trying to get my PlayStation 4 up and running, but there's still a few technical hiccups, including party chat and whatnot, and how to communicate with the team, and then going back without swapping out my USB microphone every 5 minutes. That being the case, I do have a lot of requests for Xbox One. There is a possibility, if I get enough money through donations, I will purchase an Xbox One specifically only for Evolve. I extremely dislike Microsoft. I don't want to get into why, but basically I used to work for Microsoft when Windows XP got launched, and they're just a horrible company, so I don't like them, and by virtue of that, I don't like their Xbox. But that does not mean that I won't ever play on there. I probably won't ever play on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox because I absolutely hate the controllers. I am not a controller person. I own a lot of games for the consoles, but none of them are first-person shooters. Just because I'm a mouse and keyboard person all the way. That being the case, like I said, it does not necessarily rule out that I won't ever be on Xbox One. Hey Dark, welcome to the channel. Ooh, and it looks like we got a Wraith against a Hyde. Hyde, Hank, Slim, and Crow. So Hank is very, very good in this matchup, and the reason why is because Wraith is very much a one-trick pony. You either go Warp Blast or you don't, and if you don't, you kind of just die slowly and horribly into a pile of goo. And so all you have to do as Hank is literally just shield somebody when they get Warp Blasted or about to get Warp Blasted and not group up, and Wraith just kind of dies. Right now, Abduct is still good, but that's a combo piece. It doesn't do a lot of damage, and it's usually used in conjunction with Warp Blast. However, Supernova especially is probably the worst skill in the game, in my opinion, and Decoy is pretty close behind it. I feel very bad for Wraith. Wraith is my favorite monster of all of them, but she hasn't been really a good play because, like I said, she's a one-trick pony, and yes, it is a decent one-trick, but hunters, if they just stopped grouping up when the Warp Blast was off cooldown and then grouped up when Abduct was ready, then nobody would have any problems. And the reason why you group up when Abduct is ready is because if a monster Warp Blast jumps away and gets ready to abduct, if you're all hovering around the person who's supposed to be getting attacked, there's a good chance that you'll go ahead and get somebody else instead of the person who's weakened. And I feel that once hunters start really using that strategy and actually being decent with it, Wraith will lose absolutely every single time. And yeah, like Supernova is just I could go on forever about it. Okay, so it looks like the assault or trapper has spotted the monster going in this direction. They hear, oh, and there's a spotter, and there is the Gobi letting the hunters know that the monster is very close by. Here comes a trapper. Let's see what happens. Looks like the monster is going to try and dart away. I like that the trapper is holding off. Remember, you always want to wait for 2, if not 3 traversals before even going for the dome these days. Oh, no problem, Dark. Yeah, I was hosting on Tricky's channel, I think. I guess Trixie. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Some pretty good games going there. Okay, so Gobi identifies where the monster is. Looks like that the hunters... I'm going to turn off outlines so we can see when the monster gets highlighted by Gobi. So monster at full armor, but looks like it's going to go into this cave a little bit early. I feel that if you should save this back area for when you're sneaking or ready to evolve, because if you clear out the food now and you come back later, there's going to be no food when you're at a higher evolution. And there we go. There is the Abduct, gets conjugates, going to go with a heavy melee, and it's not... I'm not sure why. I feel that Hadrosaur, like the... Ooh, and somebody gets into a plant, or no, Toxic Hound. I feel that that should have been a heavy hit into the Warp Blast for extra damage. Monster climbing up, trying to get out of there, but Gobi searching out those caves, and this is another scary area for monsters to get domed as a hunter. And the reason why is because this little area, there's a lot of deep water, and there's usually a tyrant there. And if you can, try and get domed in that area, because it's very easy for the hunters to get disoriented because of the deep water. And, oh, and there goes an abduct on the assault. Not sure. Here comes the dome coming down. So the monster is going to get domed here, and the rest of the team doing everything they can to catch up, and it does not look like this goes down, which means that the monster needs to get out of there. Goes to abduct the assault, and Warp Blast Hank trying to get a little bit of damage here and there. The assault does not have his personal shield up anymore, I believe, but is getting healed, or sorry, protected by Hank. So this is a very bad dome. Oh, and that assault, that was weird. I didn't think that was the monster moves. So this is a very bad dome for the monster, because there's no... This is pretty much the only pillar in here if you're trying to avoid damage. That being the case, remember, if you're ever slowed, or you're fighting against teams that slow, you always want to be near a wall, because you can climb up that wall to go ahead and escape, because you always move at full speed while climbing. So always remember that if you're up against. So back here, there might be a little bit of food, but there is a plant. He might be able to go ahead and lure a monster into that plant if he's a little bit sneaky, or trying to go ahead, and what he could have done is abduct the person directly into the plant. So dome goes down. Monster at 1/3 our health needs to get out of there as soon as possible. And slowly but surely. And right now, I'd like to see a couple more stasis shots from conjugates instead of the sniper rifle. I think that having the whole team catch up is better than you doing a little bit of plink damage right now. So once again, Hadrosaur needs to go towards the area. I'd like to see him head towards the beach. The beach is no longer a complete death trap for the monster. It's still not the greatest, but this addition right here actually makes it so that you don't automatically cut off this part of the map just because you're playing as the monster. So between the buildings and this new formation up here, it's really nice. So going to get a couple of meat here, but the rest of the team very close behind. I feel he needs to do a little bit better. Might actually be able to get away with this, because it looks like the trapper heard him as he warped around. So if the hunters don't, if you don't see the hunters and you don't know where they are, try not to use warp if you don't have to, just because it's very loud and very precisional, meaning that they'll be able to go ahead and identify which direction you're in. So another couple of meat here. He might be able to get enough to get a stage 2. I think he might be short 1 meat. Yep, and it looks like he's going to be denied from the sniper. Looks like the sniper is just trying to bypass the armor, which isn't a bad idea because of how low health the Wraith has. But the monster trying to decide what to do. Gobi sees the monster, and the rest of the team just sitting back here, and this is what we refer to as the death's position. Ooh, the assault might get nabbed actually here. This will be very interesting. Oh, the abduction hits, and this might actually be the opportunity to force the monster or the hunters to engage the monster before they are ready. So there goes the toxic cloud and some fire. But trappers staying nestled right here, waiting for the monster to decide on a area. So right now, this is an amazing good job. You know, start working on the assault. A lot of people don't go after the assault nearly enough. Oh, and the trapper coming down. Ooh, I feel that if he was just a little bit further back, and didn't abduct, he actually would have been out of that dome. So very little health. This is a very scary dome. There's not much room to work with. The best thing would be to keep on abusing this pillar here. Ooh, and that orbital going to do tons of damage when he comes back from the abduct, and that's going to be GG for Hadrosaur as he tries in vain to try and escape the last little bits of damage. Precisional is a word. I shall make it a word.
Oh boy.
GG.
GG.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, good game. Again, I think that the biggest thing for you, Hadrosaur, is just getting practice learning feeding routes and kind of knowing where like optimal pathing is. I felt like that there was a couple of times when you went in a direction and you kind of circled back a little bit, where if you went in a straight line, it would have made a better difference. That being said, I'm not the biggest fan of the beach still. It's a lot more viable than it was before, but the Trapper was doing exactly what he should have done and just stay up on that one point. I like that you abducted the assault away because that forced the hunters to come basically engage you. And ironically enough, if you didn't stop for the abduction right when the dome came down, you would have gotten it. You would have been able to just go out and then hop away. So really good job of trying to make it work. Also, if you're going to get domed in the caves, try and get domed near the Tyrant pool. It's by the tractor. It's a little bit further in. It's on the... I'm trying to think of the map. It's on the southern... Yeah, the southern part of the caves, because there's a lot of deep water there, which is hard for the hunters to traverse. And usually there's a tyrant, and dealing with that tyrant in close quarters with a monster is very, very, very hard as the hunters. That being the case, hunters doing a really good job. I would have liked to have seen the Trapper do the stasis gun a little bit more than when you were chasing the monster because he had no health. Just because I think if all the team caught up, all of them could do damage as opposed to just you. But that's just a small little quip. Otherwise, really good job. Good job with Hank shielding the people at the right time. Very, very good orbital once that abduct happened. If you can ever orbital a spot where the monster abducts from and then they go back to it, they take a tremendous amount of damage. So really, really good job in general.
Yeah, good games, man.
The times I got abducted on my screen, they were like not even close, and I TP'd in a sense. That was pretty hilarious at some places.
Yeah, there was one point where I... Go ahead.
That whatever.
Yeah, there was one time where I abducted in the air to the assault who was on the ground. Then I stopped mid-air, and then all of a sudden I had the assault.
Yeah, is that when you were...
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was when you were in the underground area, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was the one. I was like, I didn't even see the Wraith move, and the next thing I knew, the assault was in his arms. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I moved like 1 foot, and then I just saw F7 have him.
Oh, well. But really, really good job, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and hop back to chat real quick and get some more crew and get this ball rolling. Thanks for the games.
Yeah, good games.
I would like to
good
say...
games.
Go ahead.
I would like to say the Tyrants... there was one Tyrant that was supposed to be in the pool in the arena that I had. But apparently I think they moved him, because now he's inside the building.
He can be in either. He can sometimes wander. Are you talking about the one that's usually to the right of the building if you're facing it?
No, like there's a pool like in the cave. Like there's 3 usual spawns for the Tyrant, and he was in a weird place that I'd never seen him in.
Fair enough.